Hey there and welcome back to the channel. We're talking about anxiety. This is a whole playlist on anxiety, specifically on tools that you can use to manage your own anxiety. This is things that you can do on your own, can be a part of a bigger plan that you're working with another professional with, but regardless, you can start here and see how it feels. What can I do for myself before I rely on someone else? And sometimes that gets us all the way across, and sometimes it doesn't. The point is to try and to keep trying and to keep showing up for ourselves, to keep being in the driver's side, the driver's seat, so that we can make sure that we're taking responsibility for how we feel. What I've said in the past, and I'll say every single time, is that anxiety is kind of a feeling. It's actually a judgment of our feelings. So we feel something uncomfortable and our brain says, uh-oh, that must mean we're not good enough. We can't do something specific. We're not capable. And so anxiety is the judgment of our feelings. Feeling our feelings doesn't really give us anxiety. Judging how we feel does. So when you're recognizing that you're judging yourself for feeling something and you're like, can I do it? Am I capable? Oh my gosh, this is going to be too hard, too this, too that. That's when you can start onboarding some of these tools. So we've talked about some foods to add in. We've talked about using the breath. Today, we're going to talk about using the body, and specifically in two specific things that we're talking about are tapping and shaking. This is what I can do to my body, with my body, to move energy, and I'm going to tell you exactly why that helps, some of the science behind it, and then how to do it. So let's dive into that. When we are thinking about anxiety, that's called cognition or intellectualizing. We're trying to think through it or think our way out of it. And if you know anything about anxiety, if you've felt anxiety in the past, it doesn't work. Yes, learning about anxiety like you're doing right now helps a little bit, but truly getting through any emotion, anxiety specifically, has to do with feeling it and releasing it, as well as intellectualizing it. So then we bring it down to the body. So now we know about it. We've tried to solve it. We just can't figure it out. So we're going to move it down into our body. It's called somatic. So instead of being cognitive, it's somatic. It's what the body feels. Remember, the questions can be asked up here in the intellectualizing, and the answers you actually feel down in your body. So when we ask the questions, our body is the one that responds. So what does that mean? Well, it means a couple of things. First of all, we have energy systems. We have two types of energy systems that we're going to talk about today in our practice of shaking or tapping. One is called the meridians, and the other one is called the chakras. But let's start with tapping. I am not an expert in tapping or shaking, but I have done the experience in a group with a facilitator, and I've done it with myself, by myself. I've made it a part of my practice, and I do bring it on when I feel like I need it, when I'm going to have anxiety, when I'm feeling anxiety come up in my body, and it's asking my body, ooh, what do you need? And my body says, I just need to blah, blah, blah. I need that. That's what I need. Well, then that's a good indicator that tapping or shaking can really help for you. So tapping, let's start with tapping. Tapping is really just tapping on the body. It's percussion of the body. And the reason why it works is because it taps into the same feelings and release as acupressure or acupuncture. There's meridians, there's lines of energy in our body that are connected. Probably has to do with the fascia. So we have this sort of like under the skin connection that goes around every cell, every group of cells, every muscle, in through all of our organs, all the way into our connective tissue. And when we're talking about the brain sends signals. We have the synapses, it sends a signal from the body to the brain so that we can make meaning out of the world. Well, so does the connective tissue. The somatic body has a second brain right under our skin called the fascia. And the fascia is what we're activating in these types of exercises, and we're releasing those types of things. When we talked about foods, we talked about magnesium and how relaxing the muscles can really help with reducing the feeling of anxiety. This is the same. It's not what we eat, but it's how we work with our musculature and our body energy that we can, how we can reduce our feeling of whatever the uncomfortable feeling is so that we stop judging ourselves for having that feeling. Or just be at peace with having that feeling and it be okay is the other option. Tapping is just tapping these pressure points, a couple of different pressure points all along your body. If you look into Emotional Freedom Technique, EFT, it'll give you a blueprint for where to tap and why, and how to do a complete protocol on how to tap. And that's really cool. So I'll put that link in the description below in case you want to really dive into the exact science of tapping and why that works. For me, I do it intuitively. I tap wherever I feel like I need it. The main pressure points for tapping are the top of the head, the brow. This is like my personal favorite one right here. Like, I don't know why, but this really helps me get out of my intellectualizing and into my body. And then down on the bridge of the nose, under the eye, of course, this temple section here where it's like really where a lot of our stress goes, you know, whoa. And then down here over the bridge, under the bridge of the nose, over the mouth, down on the chin, down on the collarbone, and there's even one right under the armpit. All of these meridian lines are connected to energy systems in the body that have to do with organs and the bladder and the spleen and the vagus nerve and other parts. We're all connected. It's like the ankle bone's connected to the knee bone. It's all connected with the fascia and the energy systems. And so again, if you really want to know exactly where that's connected and what happens, then go to that link and see where the meridian lines are. Otherwise, when you're feeling anxious and you want to try tapping, I'm inviting you to start with an intuitive practice and just go from the top down. In EFT, they ask you to ask a question or have some kind of mantra or some sort of truth to be really grounding into so that you're like instilling that body wisdom as you're doing this. You can do that for sure. Or you can just try and clear your mind, and your truth or your mantra just might be, I want to feel better. I want to release this anxiety. I no longer want to be a victim of my emotional state. So let's do it together. We're going to start with just about 5 or 6 seconds of tapping in each section. So bring your hands, fingertips come up like this, and you're just going to tap the top of your head. And you're just going to do alternating, oscillating for a couple of seconds, 5 or 6 seconds up the top of your head. And then you're going to move down to your brow, and you're going to tap at the top of your brow. And how much pressure you put really is up to how you're feeling and what you need. You can do really slow, big taps, or you can do small taps. And then we're going to come down from the brow to the sides of our temples. You can drum your fingers across wherever it feels good. If somewhere feels like you really need it, tap into that wisdom of your body and stay there for longer. And then you can come down under your eyes. I just remember all the great facials I've ever had. It was like my first ever tapping that I had, is that like this facialist did this like really deep sweep of these areas, and I felt that flush all the way through my body, like really big emotional release. Like, oh my gosh, this is what I need for myself. I need to do this more often for myself. So let's do it. You can come down to the jawline. We often do clench our jaw when we are stressed or feeling anxious. So getting that jaw in there. And then over here into our bridge, under the bridge of our nose. This one's a really interesting one. I don't know too much about it. Maybe I'll do some more research on what this one does, but it feels good. And then into the chin. I like to jet my chin out a little bit and really get the percussion there. Moving down to the sternum and the collarbones. You can work your way out and in. I like to go down the collarbone a little bit. Get that deep resonance with the percussion. And then the last one is under the arms. So you can do this one at a time. This is very tender and sensitive to me, so I'm wondering what that says about it. But this is the whole practice. And the goal is you can layer on things here. So layer a mantra, layer some breath work, make sure you're breathing. Make sure you're breathing all the way through that and sticking where you feel like you need it. Activating some of those energy systems so that you can change the flow of the energy in your body and you can release the judgment on whatever you're feeling. And this is how you help your nervous system regulate. Similarly to tapping is shaking. And the same with the EFT, emotional freedom technique, there is something called TRE, which is about shaking. Tension, stress, and trauma release. And so this one's a very like cellular level release of what we would consider trauma. So anything that's stuck in your body, emotionally stuck in your body, or maybe even physically stuck in your body, that is preventing you from being able to be at ease and peace with yourself. Something that's just really not sitting right with your cells. We know that emotional experiences that make us feel powerless can have long-lasting effects on our physical body, how we hold our body, how our cells move, and how our cells function. And so tapping and specifically shaking helps us reverse some of those effects. This is also a very specific set of exercises that if you go to a specialist or a practitioner or a facilitator, they will walk you through these stretches to start getting emotion in your body to move. This is all about moving emotion or energy through your body. And this one, different than meridians, has a lot more to do with chakras. Chakras are energy systems in the body, in this alignment of the spine, that correlate with some of the life purpose things. For example, this one kind of crown here has to do with our intuition and how much we're tethered to soul or spirit. And then we have one here, which is our third eye. It's more of like how we're perceiving the world. And then we have a chakra here, which is our like voice or vocal chakra. How are we expressing ourselves? We have an energy system in the heart, an energy system in the solar plexus about our passion and purpose for life, an energy system down in the gut, more about our reproduction and creativity, and then an energy system in our root of our spine, our root chakra, about our groundedness. And so when we're talking about releasing trauma and releasing energy and being able to regulate the nervous system down so that we can feel at ease and peace and reduce our feelings of anxiety, we're talking about those energy systems and the meridians, but specifically for shaking those energy systems. So when you're moving your body and your muscles, kind of like why we do exercise, we're moving that energy through it. Sometimes we will get to the point where we do a little bit of shaking. And think about shaking for a minute here. When do you shake? When is shaking happening in the body and why? A couple of ideas or some examples of shaking is when you're cold, right? When you're trying to warm up and your body shakes. And so that does cellularly help move a little bit of energy. You know, it moves biochemical energy, moves like ATP and stuff that makes your body warm, like real energy. Also, we shake when we're scared. Oh, you know, we shake when we're startled. We sometimes shake when we cry. We shake when we're mad. Oh my God, I'm so mad. I'm shaking. I'm so mad. Oh, and so sometimes we shake when we're holding in too much energy and it needs to get out. And so now we're trying this shaking exercise to release energy so that we can be free of it and get back to a baseline. So we're not so mad or so cold or scared. You know, we want to try and get back to a homeostatic state. The exercise progression is stretching the body, and at the very end, you lay on the floor and you shake your legs back and forth. So if you put your feet on the ground and your hips on the ground and you windshield wiper your legs, or you shake them back and forth a little bit like this until you really get like a good shake going, that's what's supposed to really get some of that deep trauma to release. Really, because a lot of trauma is stored in our hips and in our neck and our shoulder. So these big ball joints do take on a lot of trauma, emotional trauma. So moving those in a way that's rhythmic and relaxing can really help. It will also sometimes bring up some stuff. So you might feel incredibly angry or incredibly sad when you do some of these shaking techniques. and that's okay. So the way we get through it is through it. If you're like me and you like to do some more intuitive style, I like both. I like to go to like a guided session, but when I'm doing it for myself and I'm doing my own practice, I like to just do whatever my body wants to do. And you can do that too. Just like with the tapping, tap wherever it feels good. With the shaking, shake wherever it feels good. Shake your shoulders out. Be weird, get weird, but feel weird with it. Shaking your hands out is like a really quick, easy one to do that you can almost do anywhere. Shake your lips out. Shake your feet out. And then if you're standing, you can shake like your whole body. Get everything kind of in there and get everything moving. And if you really want to get into it, put a little music on and try and get a full song worth of shaking to be able to move the energy out of your body. And just like with a good yoga practice, it's nice to end with some stillness and some breathing, some back to baseline types of breath where we're really just in surrender, allowing our bodies to feel better, allowing our bodies to feel better. That's the whole point of this, is to do something disruptive, to take your power back. When we are in a state of anxiety, we're giving our power away. We're saying, I can't, I don't know how, I'm so defeated, I'm all these things. And when we are recognizing anxiety and meeting it with the right energy, we're saying, okay, this is hard. I can do hard things. This is sucky. This is not going to be fun, but I'm capable and I'm going to get through it and it's going to be okay. So we might not be able to solve anxiety or prevent it or treat it. And you know, there are lots of ways that we can treat it with professionals, but here on this channel, we can manage it and we can bring it back to a manageable state where I'm recognizing that I'm feeling anxious and I can choose to do something about it, whether that is breath work from the last episode, or if it's setting myself up for success by eating good foods or eliminating foods, which will be the next video, or it's doing a specific type of exercise, which will also be next video, so stick around for that. And if these things have been really helpful for you, if you followed along with this tapping and shaking journey that we did today, and you're feeling just a little bit better, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, because this is what we're working on this channel. We're really building a toolbox for you to come back to for yourself whenever you need to, so you can start managing your own anxiety. Trust me, this comes from lived experience. Nobody's exempt. No matter whether you say it or not out loud, everyone has experienced some amount of emotional turbulence that can be considered anxiety. Normalizing that is so important. It's not about not feeling it. It's about feeling it and normalizing it, and then what you do next with that. How are you showing up for you? How are you taking care of you? Try this. If it doesn't work today, try it again tomorrow. If it doesn't work after 5 days, find something that works for you. You are in control of how you feel. You are capable, and you deserve to feel better. Do the work, do the practice, try the shaking, try the tapping. Let me know how it goes, and we'll see you next time.